Okay, in the last Gemara, we did a review over how the Mishnah can fit with Rabbi Eliezer, and then we said, forget Rabbi Eliezer, the Mishnah is better for us to fit with Rabbi Akiva. This chart that I'm showing you here is an outline of this Gemara. I have Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva on the top. Rabbi Eliezer says if the lender loses the mashkin that he's watching, the collateral that he's watching, then he swears and can still collect his money. He's not responsible for that mashkin. He was only a shem rechinim. Rabbi Akiva says, no, if you lost the mashkin, then you've lost your collection, you've lost your money. So we're going to go through explaining 1, 2, 3, 4 possibilities of what this machlokes is about. So let's begin the Gemara. I said that this Gemara would take 10 minutes. Let's try our very best. Oops, that's the wrong daf. Okay, so the Gemara starts with Lema. Let's say b'delay shavi mashkin shir zuzi ub'deshmol kamiflagi. I'll do this more slowly. Lema, let's say b'delay shavi mashkin shir zuzi. Shavi means value. Delay shavi means it doesn't have the value. Delay shavi mashkin, the mashkin does not have the value shir zuzi of the money that was lent. And the machlokes is concerning what Shmuel said. Ubideshmuel kamiflagi. The machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva is concerning something that Shmuel said. In other words, one opinion will hold like Shmuel, and one opinion will not hold like Shmuel. The Amar Shmuel said, Hayman de oizfei, this person that lent, alfi zuzi lechavre, 1,000 zuz to his friend. Hayman means there was a man. It's easy to remember. Man is man. The oizfei is lent. Alpha is 1,000, just like the Hebrew elef, and zuzeh is zuz. Lachavre to his friend. Va'anach lekata de magla iluyehu. And anachle is he placed on it kata de magla, a handle. Kata means a handle. The magla of it's a type of a cutting device, maybe a sickle or something. Maybe the magla means like it's a round type of blade, so it would make sense to be a sickle, something that's used to cut wheat. So he put the handle of a sickle, iluyayu, on it as a mashkin. So you have the lender who's holding on to this handle, and the handle doesn't have the value of 1,000 zuz, but he's holding it. So avad kata de magla, if he loses that mashkin, avdu alfa zuze, he has lost 1,000 zuz. So the Gemara thinks right at this point that Rabbi Akiva holds of Shmuel, and Rabbi Eliezer does not hold of Shmuel, and that would be the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. So let's go back to our chart. We're talking about where the loy shavi shir zuzeh. I'm looking over here, right under Rabbi Eliezer. It does not have the value of the loan, and Rabbi Eliezer less slay the Shmuel. Remember, less means it does not hold of Shmuel, who holds that he loses the whole loan because he was only a shem rechinim on it or whatever. And again, the case, according to Rabbi Akiva, it's the same thing. It's loy shavi shir zuzi. Just Rabbi Akiva's opinion is islay l'Shmuel. He does have Shmuel. Islay there is to him. Leslay there is not to him. So Rabbi Akiva does hold of Shmuel, and therefore the person loses all his money. Okay, the Gemara is not going to accept this. The Gemara says, I'm down over here. B'delay shavi mashkin shir zuzeh, if the mashkin does not have the value of the value of the loan, of the amount of the loan. In other words, let's say it's only worth $50, but the loan is $1,000. The kuli alma leslu de Shmuel. No one holds of Shmuel, and the reason is because even Rabbi Akiva, who holds that the mashkin is given as a collection, so if he loses the mashkin, he's only lost $50 of his collection, and he should still be able to collect $950. Even Rabbi Akiva won't hold of Shmuel. Rather, v'hacha b'deshavi shir zuzeh. Here we're talking about where the mashkin is the same value as the loan. V'kamiflagi b'd Rabbi Yitzchak, and they're arguing about what Rabbi Yitzchak says. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak said, Minayin l'bal chayv, how do you know that a creditor, someone that's owed money, shekayna mashkin, that he actually acquires the collateral that he's holding on to? How do we know that? And therefore he should be responsible if he loses it. This would be Rabbi Akiva's opinion. Shenemar, but Rabbi Yitzchak is saying it. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, ulachot hiya tzedakah. To you it will be a tzedakah. Okay, the pasuk says that this is a pasuk in the Torah on my Gemara. It has over here the pasuk. It says that you should definitely return the mashkin when the sun sets, and therefore he should be able to sleep in his gown or in his cloak, and Hashem will bless you. In other words, you can't take a mashkin if the person needs it for sleeping, if it's his pajamas. Hashem will bless you, and it will be for you tzedakah. So the Gemara now says, Rabbi Yitzchak says, Im eina kaina mashkan tzedakah minale. If it's not his, and he's returning it at night, so it's not even his. Why is it considered tzedakah? Must be that he acquires it during the day that he has it, and therefore he's responsible if anything happens to it, and that's why it's considered tzedakah when he gives it back at night, so the poor person who borrowed the money can sleep in the mashkan, and he'll take it back in the morning. So for whatever benefit he has from that, but nevertheless, that's considered tzedakah. This would be a proof that the lender acquires the mashkan. Mikan lebal chayv shekayna mashkan. Here we see that from here we see that a bal chayv, someone that's owed money, acquires the mashkan. And Rabbi Eliezer won't hold of this, and that's why he would be pater if he can still collect his money if the mashkan is lost. And Rabbi Akiva would say, no, you can't collect it because you were responsible for it, and that's why the Torah calls it tzedakah when you give it back, because it's as if it was yours, it was in your possession for all practical purposes. V'tizbara, the Gemara now says, v'tizbara, and do you think so? Can you think so? Eimar da'amar Rabbi Yitzchak b'mashkanai shalei b'shasel vasei. Let's say that Rabbi Yitzchak only said his halacha when the mashkan was taken, b'mashkanai shalei b'shasel vasei, not at the time of borrowing, only at the time of collection. Aval mashkanai b'shasel vasei, but if the mashkan was taken at the time of borrowing and lending, mi amar, does he then say his halacha? In other words, this whole business over here, where a person has to give back a mashkan, this pasuk that we quoted, he has to give back the pajamas at night, that's only if the mashkan was taken later on by Bezdin. However, if the person, when it was by collection time, because he didn't have the money, but if the person actually gave the mashkan at the time of the borrowing, then that's not, this halacha doesn't apply. You don't have to give it back at night. And therefore the pasuk doesn't apply, and therefore he doesn't acquire it. Therefore, we don't have a proof for that Rabbi Yitzchak holds this at all. We can't say there's a machlekes Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer if they hold of Rabbi Yitzchak about a case Rabbi Yitzchak himself wasn't talking about. Ella mashkanei shlei b'shasel vasei. If it was, everyone agrees. Ella, rather, if the mashkan was taken not at the time of borrowing but at the time of the collection, kulei alma, everyone islud Rabbi Yitzchak, everyone holds of Rabbi Yitzchak, and that it's considered that he acquires it. But that's not our machlekes. Our machlekes is hilveyu al mashkan. It was taken at the time of the lending. V'hacha here b'mashkanei b'shasel vasei. It was where the mashkan was taken at the time of lending. U'b'sheimer aveda kamiflagi. And the machlekes is about a sheimer aveda. This is a famous machlekes. We mentioned this before, but let me just go back to do a quick review in our on our chart. So we're up to here where there is the second explanation for the machlekes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, where the mashkan does have the value of the debt, and Rabbi Eliezer doesn't hold of Rabbi Yitzchak, and Rabbi Akiva did hold of Rabbi Yitzchak, and therefore he acquires it, and therefore is responsible. We said that that's impossible because we're talking about where the mashkan was taken at the time of lending. So now we're going to need a new machlekes. We're up to this section right there, our third way of explaining the machlekes. Okay, so it goes like this. What is this machlekes? The itmar, because it's a statement of Amiraim, Shemer Aveda, if someone is watching a lost object that he found, Rabba Amar Kashem Rechinam, Rabba says he's responsible for that object that he found, like Kashem Rechinam, only for negligence. Rabbi Yosef Amar, Rabbi Yosef says he's responsible Kashem Sachar, like a paid watchman. Even he's responsible even if it gets stolen or lost. So Leima de Rabbi Yosef Tanoihi, let's say that there's a machlaikis, if these two Tanoim, there's a machlekes these two Tanaim if they hold of Rabbi Yosef. In other words, Rabbi Akiva would hold of Rabbi Yosef because Rabbi Akiva holds he's a shemer, someone that's washing a mashkan has the same status as someone that's washing an aveda, and he's considered a shemer sachar. And Rabbi Eliezer would not hold of Rabbi Yosef. He argues on Rabbi Yosef. Rashi goes through. He says that there's definitely a machlekes in Rabbah, because Rabbah holds that he's a shemer chinam. Rabbi Akiva would hold he's a shemer sachar. But the Gemara says maybe there's no machlekes. Maybe there's a machlekes also in Rabbi Yosef. Leima Rabbi Yosef Tanoi. The Gemara says like no. The shemer aveda, when you're talking about a shemer aveda, the kuli al mislo de Rabbi Yosef, everyone holds of Rabbi Yosef. In other words, someone that's watching a lost object does have the din of a shemer sachar. I'll explain to you why in a moment. V'hacha, but here. The machlekes is if the malveh himself, if he wants to use the mashkan, this is the machlekes. Mar savar mitzvah ka'avid, Marsavar, one holds that he's doing a mitzvah, and Shehilveyu, the fact that he lent the money, he's using the mashkan. When he's using the mashkan, he's actually taking off from the debt as he's using it. So let's say the person gives him a mashkan, his Game Boy, let's say, and he uses it every day. He pays him for that usage, so the debt would go down in increments, lower and lower as he uses it. And he's considered a shemer sachar even though he's using it, but he did a mitzvah for lending it. Umar Savar, the other one holds, which is Rabbi Eliezer, lav mitzvah ka'avid. He didn't do a mitzvah, he lent the money, but he's using the mashkan. It's not a real mitzvah shalah nosim miskaven. He's getting benefit from it. V'havi shemer chinam, and he's only considered a shemer chinam. Okay, the machlekes concerning Rabbi Yosef and Rabbah about a shemer aveda was about if a poor person comes to the door while you're doing the mitzvah, do we consider you an Isaac b'mitzvah pater min mitzvah? The fact that you're involved in one mitzvah, returning the lost object, you don't have to give the poor person his bread, which is worth a pruta. It's called pruta de Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef holds you don't have to give the bread, and Rabbah holds that you do. We thought that the same machlekes that applies over there to Aveda would also apply to someone that's lending. He's also doing a mitzvah. He's lending. He took a mashkan. Now that he's watching the mashkan, so maybe he should be pater from giving a poor person bread. That patur that he has is going to make him money, turns him into a shemer sachar. He doesn't have to give that. That's considered a payment. It's a shemer sachar. And the other one holds that no, he's he doesn't hold of Rabbi Yosef. The Gemara says no. Actually, everyone holds of Rabbi Yosef. The whole machlekes is: do we consider lending with a mashkan just like the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda if you're going to use the mashkan? Okay, this will be reviewed in class.